Hey y'all, welcome to Sex Ed for You, the podcast where research meets reality.
I am Lauren, a Certified Holistic Sexuality Educator.
And I'm Holland, and I have a Bachelor of Science in Public Health.
Sex Ed for You's podcast is for people who want to date and have great sex that is fun and safe and enjoyable. We like to empower our listeners to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living.
Hello.
Hello. Why? I feel like you're mischievous. Like, I don't know what we're about to talk about.
No, I'm not mischievous.
Okay.
I'm just excited. Not excited. I feel like it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Ready?
I feel like I'm going into one of the You and Trey
I
episodes.
know, I do too right now. And I'm like, I don't know what she's about to bring up. For those who are listening, if you haven't, I have another podcast with my partner who happens to actually be a lot like Holland.
Yeah.
Which is joy for me. And sometimes he will spring things on me in a podcast chair. I'm literally sweating. And then I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. And actually, yeah, it's been a really, really healthy thing. And I want our audience to know, yeah, like these are real.
Yep.
Here we go.
Don't look at me with those eyes.
Okay.
It's nothing bad.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Sex Ed for You with Lauren and Hal.
Where research meets reality.
Yes, it does.
Here's reality, suckers. Buckle in. Where to start? Do you want me to?
Mm-hmm,
Okay. It is going to get to, we are eventually going to talk about dating apps. It's all interconnected. But I kind of wanted to touch on what we talked about last night.
I knew it was coming. I was like, she's totally going to bring this into the podcast.
Because it's been sitting in my body all night. So and I was so like, I don't know. We had an interesting family dinner. I brought an agenda because it was a family business dinner. Mm-hmm. By family, we mean me, Lauren, and Trey. Yeah, I don't know. I brought an agenda. We got through all of our things. Mm-hmm. That was wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, okay, we can talk about personal life now. And we were all like, yay. And then my brain, immediately after we started talking, I was like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, let's talk about research and reality and all these kinds of things. Because I've, of course, dissected this. I just didn't know we'd talk about it on camera. Yeah. Okay. Why did your body go, nah? Or like...
Gosh, I'm going to just go on a monologue here.
Go for it.
It's not like a finger wagging monologue. Mm-hmm. It's more of like this is what my brain conceptualized of the whole situation.
Cool, because then audience can see too how different brains conceptualize different things.
Yeah.
Holland and I were in the same space, same container, and our takeaways are going to be very different.
Yeah. Go. I think also important to note the context within this situation was happening was we were at our favorite bar. Favorite dinner and drinks place. We go there all the time. But in this town, Lauren knows everyone. Lauren has been here since she was a bebe. And so there are thousands of people who know you. And they are often from past lives, past iterations of this beautiful, wonderful woman.
I like past lives. That feels good. It sounds like I've been reincarnated 10 times. In essence, I have.
You've been reborn.
Yeah. As I would hope all humans got to do.
Yeah.
I really would, that we would constantly be like these little caterpillars going into cocoons, then coming out as butterflies, like we're supposed to grow. And in small towns, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, last night was a night where like everyone and their mother decided to come to our favorite little spot, which is fine.
Well, we're having true to ourselves conversations that are vulnerable and loving and inclusive and just really great conversations, but conversations that are almost difficult to have in the presence of people from a past life.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, right after you've been somewhere where you felt free, like DC.
Yeah, I was just in DC with my sister over the weekend, and she and I were also having vulnerable, the types of people who are in my life now are those types of humans where you could be having a surface level conversation, but at any time it could drop into the true nature of things. I have humans in my life now who talk about the hard stuff, and if there's a stumble into something that was painful, my sister and I are free to share at any time. Like, that was a painful thing. This is what happened. So at any of the spots my sister and I were in over the weekend, one of us was crying at some time, and then we were laughing so hard, and then we're dancing.
Yeah.
But people were witnessing, but not in the oh, we've known her since birth type of witnessing.
Yeah.
I'm sure they saw us and then they just went back to their own dinner.
Yeah. I mean, it's like strangers.
Yeah.
So then coming back here
was
and people who know you and think they know you, and put it that way.
Have known me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I want to give voice to that it's not when we grow, when I grow, when anyone grows, it's not that part of them no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
Could get so teary. Those pieces of me were authentic, were true, are true. Mm-hmm. And they are now just a part of me. I'm kind of like a nesting doll, like the, right? Like,
doll.
Yes. And so she is there, and then the next version, and then the next version. It is not, I think oftentimes people get accused of two-faced, right? Or no, like all those iterations of Lauren still exist in my body. But it is hard to be reduced back to one sometimes. And I think what I'm really challenging myself to do, which is to not assume I know how I'm going to be perceived. Mm-hmm. And it is very hard for me, especially with this open solar plexus and lack of emotional authority, not to feel all their energies in a space. Yeah. It is a work of mine while I am still here. So yes, we'll add that flavor to the night of Lauren. It was like all these people kept walking in.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So honestly, I felt, for me, because I feel your emotions.
I know you know. Mm-hmm.
And I think Trey does too. Mm-hmm. And so
we should have just left.
Trey and I were just very I think we instantly became protective of your energy. And so we're both in our protective mode, but then we're also feeling, so we're kind of feeling your nervous energy, but also wanting to be protective. And so that it's not on the forefront of my mind, at least, but it's sitting there. Mm-hmm. And it was a nervous energy is how I would describe it. Not necessarily anxiety, but high alert.
Mm-hmm. No, and I recognize that I brought that, right? I think that, we're about to go into this conversation where almost I wasn't as a part of it, but it's interesting for the audience. I hope they'll hear that, yes, Holland and Trey don't have the coloring of this small town that I do. Yeah. It is not theirs. Mm-hmm. And I 100% could pick up on both of their desires to protect me. I didn't even think I was being that dramatic. And at one point, Trey was like, we can go.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, they must be
reading. Took his keys out.
Yeah, at any point.
Yeah,
we can go. And I thought, wow, they both read it so much, and it colors their experience. And so may we all know that, things can go on that we all make a container up. Mm-hmm. The energies in a place do. Mm-hmm. Those do. Mm-hmm. And it's just good to acknowledge.
Yeah. Especially with people as in touch with energy and the feelings, and we are people who discuss these things and embrace these things. So while it can be a strength, it can also be that wow, we're really aware. Mm-hmm. Just, a big sense of awareness.
It's that catch-22.
Yeah.
And I'll tell my clients, because they'll come in stomping sometimes. I thought this was going to feel better. And I'm sorry. That is the hard truth of sitting with, right? Of not running from, of not escaping into. When you finally are this is my intuition, then, What's nice is I hope it was nice for you guys. Maybe nice isn't the right word, is that I can voice it. Yeah. This is how I am feeling. Because I think when we don't voice it, those in our presence can be well, are we making her anxious? Are we, right? That's a typical thing. Yeah. It had nothing to do with you two. You two are the safest people in my sphere. Cry again. Why am I so emotional? And I had just been with my sister, who's such a safe person too. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, the catch-22 is the three of us. We know. We know when we hurt. We know when we feel good. Continue.
That really also, that whole aspect plays into what we're getting at.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So, essentially the conversation kind of came to a point after we had gotten through business that, I'm dating in this town. I'm on dating apps, and I also have kind of been seeing somebody, and we were just kind of addressing a situation and talking. I was asking for advice, and then Trey gave a lot of advice. Mm-hmm. To be fair, though, I did ask for advice. I fully invited him to ask, to see in projected.
Oh, I know. I've had the post conflab, which I'm sure you're sure that it came home and happened.
I did.
Because his first question was I not invited in? You know, because he's really working on this projector thing too. And I was like, I think you were invited in. I do. And keep going.
I think
that was his first question. Was I invited in?
Yeah.
Was I not?
It was, I had asked, I don't even know how to describe. I just felt, we started having this conversation and I felt a lot of pressure. Not just from Trey specifically, but also in the wake of we've been talking about sex ed for you's policies and about sex ed for you's policies with dating. And you will often bring up, probably unbeknownst to how it affects me, of like, well, you can't you can't do these things because it would reflect poorly on sex ed for you. And that lands so deeply in my body. And it like brings out, God, I can't cry.
You could cry. I cry all the time in the shows.
But I don't cry.
Because they're your own emotions.
Damn it.
Stop laughing.
It brings out a lot of my perfectionism and how deeply I desire to do everything to the standards of other people.
Right.
So when it comes to dating and something that's so near and dear to my heart and something that I try so hard to do well.
Yeah.
And then to feel like not only are my own standards on my own dating practices, but there's so many other people watching me. And it can be really scary.
Yeah.
And I never cry.
I'm really proud of you.
On the podcast, at least, I cry on my own time. Yeah. I felt a lot of pressure. And Trey kind of got into his like daddy energy. We jokingly call Trey's daddy energy. Because he does feel protective of me too. I think he feels protective over everybody in his life. But, and I kind of lashed out because I just felt kind of felt like a spotlight was really, really on me. And it was like just shining really brightly. And I had this moment of like, why can I not just be a normal person dating? Like, why do I have to be the like self-actualized perfect person in every situation? Because I've always been that person. I have always been the one just seeking best practice in life.
Right.
You know?
Of your own. Yeah.
Like I so strongly adhere to like my own moral code and the moral code of SEFY and the like I just had this moment of like, why can't I just be a normal 23-year-old who's allowed to make mistakes? Because I can slip into my own perfectionism and achieving for the satisfaction of others and not myself so easily. And I like try being himself and being so wonderful and trying to protect me from potential harm had me like why can't I just do this thing? Like, just let me do this thing. Right. I just want to be dumb and stupid. Like, just let me be young, dumb, and 23.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, no. Like, no. Be a good person. I'm not doing anything crazy.
No,
like,
you're not. It's like, we need a disclaimer, like, off to the side. Bye.
Like, it wasn't even a bit. It was like, it wasn't a big decision. It wasn't a monumental thing. It was, am I setting myself up for more hurt potentially? And the answer was yes. And I was like, why can't I just be okay with that?
Right.
Yeah. But I did lash out at Trey. And I shouldn't have. And I, as I said the words, like, knew that it was going to land really deeply, because if somebody had ever said that to me, I would have died. Like, can I say what I said? Or
I think so. Because I think it's something that many of us would have said. Yeah. And again, witnessing this, I could feel all of this. And I was like, oh God, this is going into interesting places, and I could feel your body, and I could feel where his, from a loving place,
100%
coaching was going. And he hates that. It's so funny because the thing you called him out on, he would have done the same thing. Like, if it had been reversed, he would have said the exact same thing to you. Like, I was literally watching two people.
We're so similar. Trey and I are so similar. So when we have
similar
arguments, it's hard.
He is so critical on himself too, right? And so I know how critical you are on yourself. And so... And I know that any projecting in that you would do for somebody would only be for their benefit. Yeah. I know you too in that way. Like, you two do not do things to feel good from bossing people around. No. You two, any insight you would give would be hopefully to help somebody escape a little hurt, right? Especially if you had seen Trey be sad about something. You would be like, let me make you feel better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he saw me bawling, like crying my eyes out last week.
And so like, it's human nature. It's loving, but that doesn't, right? In our containers, we talk all the time about a good intent does not negate harm. Yeah. Harm can still be done. And looking at harm reductionist strategies, you have to say intent doesn't matter. Yeah. Intent doesn't matter. And in CPR that we teach often, the first thing is to say, ouch, but you go ahead. What we're skipping. Yeah. Share what you said if that feels okay in your body.
No, it does. He was kind of projecting into the relationship and literally like leaning over.
It felt like this. It felt like you should and you should and you shouldn't and you should is what I could totally see.
And I was just feeling very trapped. Like caged animal almost. Well, caged daughter is kind of the vibe. I would like. It was feeling very fatherly, daughterly, and I was 100%. Like, but he was projecting into the situation, and also as we all love and adore this other person that was part of the situation, trying to think of the other side of this equation of my decision, also
100%.
And. Yeah, he was just speaking with such assertiveness and certainty about people that he does not know that well. Like, truly. And I said, I think you know people better than you actually do.
Except she said it with such, please take into consideration, right? That she's already in her own protector mama mode because she can get that way with me. And so she's already been protecting my energy. Then... it's almost like they were like some jousting context.
It really was.
And so she said that. She said exactly what Helen just said, except she delivered it with more like stabbing energy than I've ever heard her deliver something. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And I'm thinking, as you wrapped up, I'm so glad you brought this to the context. Like, I caused some of this because I knew I was in a vulnerable position and I know what my energy does to a space. Oh, shit. That's all I was thinking in my head.
Yeah. And like to dig a little into the human design aspect of this, Lauren is a generator. Trey and I are both projectors. We feed off of her energy. That's what she means by saying like that.
I'm literally like I'm like a outlet in a wall. Yeah. And it's like they both plug into me, which is beautiful. And then it can become like this really cool symbiotic
it can be a
relationship.
Beautiful,
it's
creative
amazing.
Think tank.
And when I'm kind of depleting, it is just a wild thing to witness. Or like, right, that's like they're plugged into a nervous outlet. Yeah. Right? And so they're both just feeling nervous. Yeah. And possibly like they need to be the energy source. Yeah. And so it does. It is hilarious, y'all. It was like a social experiment.
And we're not blaming Lauren at all. This is not Lauren's fault at all.
And I don't actually take any blame. I want us all in these types of spaces to understand that there's so much at play. There's so much nuance. We love that word, right? That like it's not just black and white, right and wrong, good and evil. That is not how it works. And to reduce this instance that we ran into to just that is silliness. Yeah. it is silliness because it is so much at play. And I don't think we expand the world and heal the world any by saying this is what Holland did that was wrong. This is what Trey did that was wrong, without looking at the fact that their nervous person was with them, whom they love. Like, no, context matters.
It's like the whole picture.
The whole picture matters.
Yeah.
And I think that as a culture, we have wanted to stop harm being done. So we're like, aha, I know what we'll do. We'll blame the person who said the mean thing.
Yeah.
Why? I don't think it pushes healing forward.
No.
And that's what I hope this audience is gathering from this experience. Like, why do we tell these stories? Because this is where research meets reality. We all had tools at this corner of our favorite bar. We are all well equipped to do healthy conversation. And
things like this still happen.
Holland gave a zinger.
Yeah. Wasn't a ginormous deal. Everybody's fine.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that did happen. I have a tendency, also part of human design, to welcome everything in. Welcome. And then when I get hurt or I get threatened, I almost have this like visual of I like cross my arms and tell people to fuck off, essentially.
Yeah.
Like the second I can just switch. I very much have like you said earlier, like it's not two-facedness. It's literally just that like once I have been harmed, my walls go sky high. And so it was kind of that also of feeling like protecting self and like crossing my arms and being like, well, let me tell you. And that's where my finger came out and was like, da, 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 da. I literally did bring up my finger. So that was our evening.
And what did Trey say immediately?
Ouch. Yeah.
I did think in that moment, yay us.
Yeah.
Even though I knew this is going to take some repair, you know, but like he had the words to say ouch.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful because he was ouched. It hurt. And he got to say it. And I think sometimes that's all that can happen we are human. Like we are human. And we all played a role in that moment. And and then you immediately took accountability. Yeah. Like you, as the words were coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I knew.
She knew. But, and again, your desire for the feedback to stop, right? For the projection to stop, not wrong at all. You get to, at any point, any of us can say, enough, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, I'm good now.
Yeah.
It's our consent can always be revoked, right? I read this quote the other day that consent and desire are so different, that sexual consent is a willingness to engage in sexual activity. Sexual desire is wanting to engage in sexual activity. And someone can extend consent, but not necessarily feel that they desire this. And then that's where we can end up with so much confliction in sexually traumatic instances. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Right? But I know we talk about this all the time, but like that's what I started to witness last night too, was there was consent for feedback.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there was a tipping point. I think there was even desire for feedback in the very beginning when it came, like, because I think like a text popped up and I think that's what promoted it.
Yeah.
Prompted it.
Yeah.
But I think that at any time consent can be revoked, but maybe desire can be revoked too.
Yeah.
Right? I no longer desire to have this conversation. I think it's okay.
Yeah. I think I felt like we had closed the conversation about it and then the text popped up. Ooh. And that's when I was like, oh, I don't want advice about this. Like, I know what I want to do with this text. Like, I've already responded to it in my, like, body. Yeah. But I mentioned it. And that was where more advice was given. And that's when I was like, I don't want this. So it was, I should have said that.
Right? And that's where the nuance of this is too.
Yeah.
Is how frustrating that we have to be the ones to say what we need, want, and desire. It's so hard. Like, y'all, please, this is where we're trying to say research meeting reality is tough shit sometimes.
Yeah, it's really tough.
We understand. We don't want you to think, I'm so excited for you that Holland and Lauren sit in this room and we're like, this is what you should do and you'll have a lovely life. Like, no, I'm so glad we started this podcast off in the very beginning with like hilarious stories because No. And to your point, sometimes we know what to do and still need to choose to do the other thing. And that's okay, in so much as it doesn't harm others, and it's not, you know, like, yes, there's always all the sides to everything. But no, we don't have to do things the perfect way.
Yeah. And I'm definitely right now in a very weird space as far as the intersection of my dating life and SEFY. And it just feels, I feel like I'm trapped. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to move forward in a way that feels like, I just feel like we need so much more discussion around it, because it feels, just doesn't feel good. I'm trying to think of a better word, but like, I feel like I'm losing autonomy over my decisions.
Okay. Well, and maybe this comes down to, because we've never had an employee actively dating.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been just you.
Right. Right. And, you know, I think we've shared this on here, but Holland and I have said that as we grow this business, we have to figure out how to make the business work for more than just me, and that's its own thing. Right. And so maybe what we need, and we were saying this with the intern today, but like, are like guidelines around it, so that you feel like within those guidelines you can operate in complete and utter agency and autonomy, because that's not cool.
Yeah.
Right. And also I will always say consent can be revoked in that, like, you never have to always work for sex ed for you too. You know, like, it is a certain, right? Like, what do we talk about? Sexual consent, you know, like this is the thing that we provide.
Yeah.
And so, and it's weird there, you know, smushing our bodies with people around, especially in towns, is really tricky.
It is.
It really is.
Already on its own, without being a sexuality
right
educator.
Without that. And I would hope that everybody is like governing themselves with things, but no, I don't want you to think that. And of course, audience, we will also be talking about this off camera. This is not like this is the one and only conversation. I mean, if it feels comfortable to share on air what is feeling like a lack of autonomy, I would love to hear that. But I also don't want to put you under a microscope.
I'm totally fine with that. No,
I don't feel like I have autonomy, and then I'm like, share publicly.
No, because it's not a specific sense. It's more, I think it's because we haven't written out the policy.
I do too.
I think it's because we keep talking about this policy, and I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what the guidance I'm supposed to be following is.
Right. It's like purity culture revisited, right? No, like you don't, the 3 rules of purity culture, like you don't know the rules.
And I created my own rules for it when I was in it. You know, like I had my own, like, okay, can't have sex before marriage, but everything else is fine. I created my own rules.
Right.
I haven't been able to create or see the rules and decide, you know how mine and Trey's brains are. We love rules until they don't make sense, and then we don't pay attention to them. Right. So I really want to be, and obviously I will be, involved in the process of creating these rules so that I follow them.
Right. Or decide you don't want to follow them, so can step away consensually, right?
Exactly.
Not like,
and I can't see that happening, but you know.
This is such a perfect, I'm so glad we're talking about this, because isn't this, and you and I say this all the time, such a, couples need to do this too, right? Like we all have, this is consensual non-monogamy, y'all, and polyamory and all these types of things. When that is done well, that is because these containers are clearly described and illustrated for all parties to decide whether or not they consent to being in the space.
Everyone needs to have the information.
Yes. And let me remind us all that Holland is all, right? Like this has all happened so fast, like so fast. And again, I know my brain functions differently, but I'm watching all of this come up in you as you have simultaneously promoted yourself. And if it were me, and so I'll let you fill in the blank of how it feels in your body, when all of a sudden I do a level up, I almost feel unrecognizable to myself, and then I don't even know what I believe about anything anymore. And like every time it's happened in my life, it is like something that I've been striving for, and then all of a sudden I get there and I'm like, holy shit. Like like, where am I? What are the things, right? Like, we knew that if you internally promoted yourself of your own accord, that we would need to do more stuff. Like, there needs to be business practices. And like, this is not like shocker.
No.
But it's like, oh, this is why.
Yeah.
Oh, this is why, right? Because it is one thing for it to be a piece of one's life. And then when we expand, it's like, oh shit, now I need new, right? This is why I tell my partners that I work with all the time to do sexual mission statements and partnership mission statements every 6 months.
Yeah.
Because like, we change.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is such a tremendous, like, we just did there was like a fast forward button or something, like, and now we're here, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why.
There's a lot of chaos in my life.
Uh-huh.
I think the promotion, yes, that I donned on myself. If y'all, I don't think we'd mentioned, hey, I'm now director of operations because I decided.
Well, she just started doing all these things. And I was like, that's okay, except those aren't in your job description. And that is much more of a director of ops type of position, and of which she is well qualified to do, and she will kick ass. And you should be paid more for that. You should, right? And I don't have the capacity to do that. Do you want to grow? We had all these conversations.
Yeah, all the conversations have been had.
We just haven't had the like, and what does that look like? And how does, one conduct, I don't know. How do you conduct yourself? Because up until now, it's just been me.
Yeah. And while all of this is happening on SEFY's plate, which is all on my head all the time, I am also... have a weird situationship going on. I also am leaving my other job and onboarding a new person while also still having to continue to do the same job while onboarding them, and it's very overwhelming. And we just have taken on an intern, and I'm also in charge of them. And I'm considering having to look for another job to supplement my income while SEFY cannot afford to pay me. Like, all of these things are happening. My mom is asking to come visit me. Like, everything. It's my dad's birthday today. It was my birthday 2 weeks ago. It's like everything that could be happening is happening, and I am stressed. I am so stressed that I have pretty much essentially just disassociated from my own body, and I don't feel connected to anything or anyone right now. So life. Woo! I am so tired. I'm so exhausted. And then this whole conversation happened. And just anyone who's been in a situationship understands how stressful it is. And I am not someone who's ever done something like this. And it's new waters for me. And it's fine. Like, there's just, like, everything's fine. It's just a lot. And, when I feel like we've started talking about like creating a dating policy or whatever we want to call it. I just feel like this energy lording over me, like very, very purity culture of like, you need to act this way.
Right.
You need to act this way or else.
Yeah.
And it's like that or else without the true consequences being there. And I feel a lot of fear of like, why should I have to be the perfect one? Why is it always me?
Right.
It is taking me back to my own habits, my own internal conflict that's been there since day one. The reason I began therapy in college of like, why is it always me that has to be picking up everyone else's slack, that has to be perfect? And like, especially in relationships, I have at least felt like I'm always the one that's bringing forward, topics of conversation that need to be spoken about, boundaries, like things like what we do in work that is so beautiful and so wonderful, but I'm so tired. And I'm so tired of feeling as if I am the only one doing these things. And to then be told that like, oh, there's going to be a policy too that's going to then be telling you what you need to be doing in your private life. It just feels icky.
I love you.
I love you.
Let me unpack. Like, where do I start? Let's talk about, I think this might be a really healing conversation for lots of people too. when we've grown up in religious orthodoxy or a system in which, really controlled our behavior and or our sexuality, it is completely fucking normal to then feel, right, like other policies are also going to control my autonomy, my choice, my these things. So I want to validate and affirm that is like internal body wisdom, right? Like you fought to get out of that. So many of our audience members have in some way, shape, or form. A client was saying the other day, you and Holland will often mention on the podcast religiosity or purity culture as like the thing that kept you from exploring this, that, or the other thing. But mine was more just culture of what I was in. There was, we weren't really people of faith. And is that normal? Yes. So I want our audience to know anytime there was a controlling of self, not from we would say like a pleasure positive or a sex positive mindset, right? Not controlling is fine. Like self-control is actually like a fine thing. Like it's actually very lovely to have self-control. It is when we have these outward like constraints, boundaries that we did not put in place or didn't consent to practice that things become really painful, detrimental, scary, because so much of it wasn't even talked about. So instead we're like, well, if everything's bad, can't I this thing? I can just do this thing, right? My sister and I spent all weekend talking about it. Like nothing was actually clear. No. And so it was like, well, fuck it. Yeah. Or just living in fear. Yeah. And what we usually see is somewhere in between or like a combination of all of them. So let me say, in lifetime to the audience and to you, this policy that I am imagining, first of all, would be creating together. It's not something that I'm just going to write.
Fully, I'm going to have a hand in it.
Like not at all. Because also I'm not the dating one. Yeah. So it doesn't even really make any sense. It makes sense for me from like a sexy. SEFY is my brainchild and my baby. So it makes sense from that standpoint. But no, I would much, assuming you will write most of it, would really be to cover us as well, so that if someone came to us and said, do you have a policy for these types of things, right? We'd be like, yeah, we do. And we abide by it. And in so much as the employees of Sex Ed for You are functioning within it, they are fine to operate on their autonomy. It could even be things like, the most sex positive dating policy one has ever seen, that like literally writes in things that are consensually non-monogamous and, like very supportive and, I don't know, like freaky. Like I'm all for that, right? That this can be this expansive policy, not a restrictive policy, but one that feels like, okay, yeah, I know that if I want to, lead someone along and then have sex with them in public and not tell them that the people would be watching. I'm trying to think of something like really bad. Okay.
Like where are we going here?
That then if you someday or I someday want to remove person from employment, we can say because of this policy. Yeah. Right. Because this does not. And they're like, but it was sex positive. Like, and we're like, no. Yeah. No, that does not. No. So, I think that in my mind, let me pull this up, that in my mind, it will look a lot like the sexual values guiding questions. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I just
felt like you had a thought.
Yeah. I just feel like I can't even conceptualize what this would begin to look like. I think that's where a lot of the fear comes from and why I would relate it to the purity culture is because I can't even fathom to understand like what this would look like or how one begins to write that. Like, if anything, the only I don't know, way this could look to me in my brain is like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And I think all the times we've spoken about it, you've mentioned, well, we don't want someone to come up and say like, Holland did this and Sex Ed for You sucks.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
you didn't say it that way,
Right,
but
right.
you said like, we don't want someone to like come out on the internet and say Holland did this to me
Right.
and da 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 da, and she works for Sex Ed for You, so Sex Ed for You is like a bad company.
Right.
Because the fear comes.
Right.
I think your fear, at least this is. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the fear that I've read from you when we've been talking about this is of my dating practices reflecting poorly on Sex Ed for You, which I think then also puts me in a mind space of like, do you not trust me? And I know that's not at all what's going on.
The opposite of not trusting someone?
Not it.
Fully.
But that's what like my body's like, do you not trust that I'm a good person and that I'm gonna date well? And so then when we had last night too, and Trey's telling me, you should do this, you should do this.
Right. No, I totally
I'm like,
see.
so you don't trust me. That's what it felt like.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I trust you so much.
I know you do. Logically, my brain is like,
Yeah.
no.
This is, God, I'm so glad we're doing this in real time. Okay. This is also, y'all, why these conversations are so necessary to have, because I think many of us have had a conversation with someone before where we only assumed the best, right? Like, I trust Holland more than I've trusted someone like ever in my life. I so trust like your guiding intuition and all of these things. No, more than anything, I want to protect you. Like, that's funny that you would say that. No, I do think that someone on the internet might say something sometime, and that's because someone said something about me. So I want to be able, if some motherfucker does that, to say, sorry, individual, Holland was following our guidelines. I want to be able to check it by you. Hey, this random person in the world is doing these things. I'm guessing it's unfounded, correct? And you're going to be like, yeah. And I'm be like, good. Watch me take down this person. No. Boundaries exist to protect our values. And so whatever the fuck value you want to celebrate in this season, I want to protect. Always. I want this to feel genuine. I want this to feel healing, not like purity culture. And I 100% recognize and take accountability for the elusiveness, right? Because I have it, and it's also come up because the intern's here.
Yeah,
and so we've been talking about
like
that more.
The past couple of weeks.
Of course.
Really
it's like it's all of a sudden been talked about. And
Yeah.
I think 1, because self-promotion, 2, because of the intern, 3, because of being back on dating apps. I think it's just like kind of come up. But I'm so sorry, because trauma-informed care would say, yeah, I'm sorry. That's a wound of yours. And I not at all, but it doesn't matter, right? Intent does not matter here. That is harmful to your nervous system, and I'm really sorry.
I'm just glad
Thank
we're talking
you.
about it.
Yeah.
We have not let this sit for long, so
No, I
okay.
like want people to know, like, this really is recent.
Yeah.
Let me read. These were really helpful for me. So again, research meeting reality. I stumbled upon these in a journal article that I was reading when I was studying purity culture, and a non-religious author had written these, and it was really interesting to me. And they just said that these were sexual values guiding questions. And I think we could use these to put together the policy, the dating policy for Sex Ed for You. And I think this would be so beautiful for interns to see when they come on, all this kind of stuff, because y'all, we're very sex positive here. We want people getting laid. This is all, we love this. But yeah, these are the questions. It's only 7. Is it self-liberating? Is it neither fearful nor anxious, but flows genuinely as an expression of self? So that's the first question. Is it self-liberating? Is it other enriching? Is it sensitive to the well-being of the other? That is non-exploitative. Non-exploitative? Non-exploitative? I know.
I would have to really look at that word.
It's a very good word. Can't pronounce it. So number 1 was, is it self-liberating? Number 2 is it other enriching? Number 3 is it honest? Does it avoid deception between parties? So is it honest? Is it faithful? Does it facilitate the development of stable relationships? So not faithful in like, I'm going to be true to this person, but stable relationships. I really like that. You know, like, are we not out there triggering other people's nervous systems to the best of our intent?
Yeah.
We're always obviously going to stumble into these things. Is it faithful? It's fun for me to look at the word faithful outside of a religious context, because does it facilitate the development of stable relationships is beautiful to me. Like, yeah, right? Like people can be casually dating and it can be stable.
Yeah.
Number 5, is it socially responsible? Is it responsible to the larger community? Which I really love too. Again, Trey dated so many people at once while he was in California. And it was so responsible to the larger community. Everybody knew that this was like casual dating and everybody was fine. Number 6, is it life-serving? Does it create life, or does the relationship add a generative quality to others? Does it, leave people, right? Casual dating, great. Like some of Trey's lovers send us gifts now. Like they're so happy that he is now in this type of relationship. Generative, just even in like, does the whole community benefit in some way, shape, or form? Even if it's the person got a great orgasm and then had a better life, that's generative.
It is.
And then number 7, is it joyous? Sexual expression is to be enjoyed without feeling of guilt or remorse. How do those sound when we think of like policy type of stuff?
Those sound great. Yeah, those sound good.
I think that's, oh God, y'all, this such like the shitty pieces of sexuality being discussed in spaces like churches where no one has gone to sex education school. No one is a sex therapist or has any background in developmentally healthy behaviors. I don't want to stifle your growth process or your sexual expression or exploration. Like, what the fuck? No. I want to have this container built that you and I and anyone else who is in the SEFY vortex can be like, oh yeah, we check it by these things. Great. No, we are existing inside of the policy. Great. And that, okay, great. We all feel lovely with it. And then again, if some motherfucker tries to come up and say, your employee, fill in the blank, it just totally must feel like you. And I'm so sorry, because I never think of it as just you. I think of anyone, right? You are the representative of, because in my mind, if we grow to this point, there's no going back. Like there's no like, oh, we're going to go back to a smaller company now. Like you are just kind of paving the way, which is shitty, which probably the reason that you feel like that is because you've always been paving the way. Yeah, so I can see you saying
it's
like
very normal for me.
Yeah.
This feels like it's wonderful and it's fantastic, but
also fuck, right?
Like I feel like I've done this.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. Not in this exact way and very various ways, but yeah, it is typically me doing things first.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
No, and I love that about you, and that's why you're a builder grower with me, because I've told you the same thing. Like that it's
because you're the same way too. I mean, it's not like it's just me. Here. Yeah. It gets lonely, and it feels like the spotlight's always on you. It really does. It feels like everybody's watching, and I feel like I have to do everything right.
Yeah. Let's push into that. Because what's the difference? Let me play devil's advocate for the audience here. What's the difference between right and with honor and dignity to another person?
Okay.
Like suss that out
kind
for
of
me.
Right
yes,
versus like the right. That's
because
let's call it consensually correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because break this down for me.
I think I feel. I do want that shoe on. Why did I take my shoe off?
To be cozy. It's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
I think it's more achievement oriented in my head. It's very much just achievement oriented, almost putting me back in a place of where I was before I went to therapy, where I was doing everything I was doing for the way it looked, for the way it presented to others.
Yeah.
Not for the fulfillment or moral obligation of my own joy and values. feels like, yeah, achievement, but for the sake of others.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I know that that is not how I operate in this business. That is not how we operate at all. But it feels like I'm sliding between both.
I want you to know, public record, that, yeah, like it just dawned on me that it's like, you know, that possibly one could get, and this happens in the church too, right? Like the more moral, the more like outstanding, the more how you handle your relationships might get you like promoted, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we've got to be careful. Yeah. Cause this internal promotion that you gave yourself, in my mind is not connected to that at all. Like not at all. Do we need to have guidelines? Fuck yes, because we need to have guidelines, like, and we need to have a policy, but not like, it's not like you need to behave like you're 23. You need to live your life. And do you get to chase professional dreams and achieve success professionally at 23? Yeah, because fuck ageism. Like, because that goes both ways, right? And we were talking about this dating apps the other day. If you saying, I don't want older people to look down on me like, oh God, well, but she's younger. No, you get to chase whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And explore and have fun with your sexuality. No, I think it would be very tricky. Not like, I could see how the two could conflate, you know, like I need to behave like Lauren, the 38-year-old. Like, no. If I could go back in time, the only thing I would be doing is not doing that. No, as I was like pregnant and having a baby at 23, had her the day after 24. Yeah.
No,
Isn't that crazy? And no.
I love B.
She's awesome. We're glad she's here.
I don't want no.
Yeah, is there any of that? Like, because I'm now right, like,
yeah, I think
you need to be, you know, like, because that would make a lot of logical sense.
I think I hold myself to a really high standard, which is a good thing. But I do think that because I'm like, okay, well, you're moving up, like, get your shit together, act like, you know, a DOO would. But being a DOO has nothing to do with my life,
right? Like they can have great, wonderful, consensual, casual sex.
Yeah. I think I have a certain idea maybe in my head of what the lifestyle of this person that I am aspiring to be looks like.
Yeah.
And it's not a lifestyle that is built from my own foundational beliefs or values. It is a lifestyle that I've seen in movies. Yeah. So like, there's no true foundation to this overlying thing. I don't know.
But we all do it. I mean, all of us. I was listening to some Marco Polos with some of my best friends earlier today, and they were talking about the same exact thing. Like, well, who is this person, right, that I am saying I don't want to be? Yeah. Right? Even that, like, or what is that burden that I don't want to take on? Well, wait a second, right? Like, and isn't that so, reactionary from church culture for sure, right? Like, no one gets to tell me who to be anymore. Yeah. And amen. And right. Like I do want us, there are things, I think it's very tempting for people to think that sex educators are wild, unbridled, unprincipled people. And I'm like, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Furthest thing from the truth. Go to any beautifully orchestrated kink or BDSM party. Yeah. My God. And watch communication.
Yeah. The amount of consensual communication is insane.
It is a gift to humanity.
It's beautiful.
No, that is what I want for us. Yeah. Not restrictive. Yeah. I want expansive, wherein you feel so okay to do whatever you want. And, there's so many different possible pitfalls of even family dinner is what we were calling it, right? And we brought up business stuff. We are going to have to continue to tread with tons of communication because at any point the business could grow where we need to be like, no, boundary.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, it is okay for containers to change and for new things to happen as people grow. It is not a sign of unhealth. It's a sign of health.
Yeah.
Like, I need some more space. I need some more distance. If it's just normal, it's just healthy.
Yeah, I feel like it's growing pains.
Yes.
We're growing. We need to, look at how we do that in a way that aligns with who we are, what we want for this business and for ourselves personally and for ourselves as friends and, all the dynamics that we have. And there's just growing pains with learning how this is and trying to anticipate how it's going to go.
And I think that's what we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our community. And again, y'all, this is where research meets reality, is that you could read all the books in the world you'd want about business growth and this, that, or the other thing. And thank God, I know this from like past growing a business experience, but like sometimes you just run into a rude awakening, like, oh, whoa, we're at that stage now. And we could beat ourselves up, like, why didn't we know to do better, blah, blah, blah. Or we could grace and compassion and be like, look at us. Here we are in this next stage. And that is not going to be comfy for everyone. And we said this way back when Holland decided to move here and we decided to like step into this of it would be much easier for Holland to go work for a company that's already established because these things would be in place. Why are you smiling?
Because I don't think it would be easier.
Tell them why.
Because I like building. I like being the trailblazer, even though it sucks sometimes. It's a catch-22. I both hate it and love it. Yeah. But I don't want somebody to tell me what to do without me helping make those rules. Yeah. I say with my hands on my hips.
And that's what we came to. It is as I watch you, it is who you are at your core. And yes, to the like, putting your arms up. Yes. And you always have full autonomy to press an eject button at any time or space.
Yeah. I think it always cracks me up when you say you have like, you can eject button. I'm like, I could. Hilarious that you think I will, but okay. I mean, maybe like a few years. Maybe it will be sooner than that. We can't tell the future.
No,
but I am just like in my body. I'm like,
which I want folks to see, right? Like, this is the cheerful episode. This is what can happen in spaces where it is safe to bring these things to the forefront. Is that so often we don't have these conversations, which then push us out of spaces that we really wanted to be in. Yeah. Which is so damn sad. Yeah. I tell so many partners that I work with, you can get divorced. Totally can get divorced. I did it. It was really great. And you could try working on this stuff because it is tough, right? Like it's tough inside of the container you already have. Then just see, do things get better? Do things get better? If they do not, and you have both really refined skills, then divorce is always a great option. But I think this is so clear here and in so many workplaces too. Of sure, people could leave and quit and whatever. Yes, they could. And or we could start to see systems like workplaces that are full of hierarchies of power also have these tearful conversations of I'm ouching because you keep throwing around these policy things and I'm thinking, am I doing something bad? I've had those exact conversations in bigger nonprofits that I worked for. And I've gone into one-on-ones and said, excuse me, are you saying yada yada? And them going, no, what made you think that? And me saying, and them going, no, that's not about you. Not at all. Right? Like some blanket email that like, hey, and I immediately think it's to me.
The anxiety that those give me.
Immediately think it's to me. And so
me of like college.
Right?
The sorority emails I used to get. No. No. I think I also laugh when you say that, because I'm like, and I know this is not true, it's just the way I'm going to phrase it, of like, you've ruined me for any other workplace. Like,
sorry.
Because if a workplace does not operate that Sex Ed for You operates, I don't think I will stay. I don't think I will last more than a few days. I mean, yeah. We've seen it. I've already done it. I don't last long in places that do not feel as loving and welcoming, but not just in like, I don't even know how to describe it. We just operate in a way that is consensual and communicative in every single aspect. And the fact that I felt, I mean, audience, please, like, look at the situation that Lauren and I are sitting in right now, where I felt comfortable enough to bring to you something that is extremely vulnerable for me. That was an incident with your husband, where in a corporate world,
right,
I would never have been able to do that.
No.
And especially not in front of a camera, where we are going to then put this on the internet, because I knew that you would listen to me, and I knew that you would care, and I knew that you would value what I have to say. And I think sometimes I wouldn't say I take it for granted, but I forget that other people aren't this way. And that this is really, really special. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate what you've built and what you continue to do. And I'm really proud of you for doing it. It's hard to build places like this. And like, I feel like Sex Ed for You and this whole place, like, you've built my home. And I can't go anywhere else after that. Like, I can't leave my home.
You really can. And who knows, right? What, you'll go into a cocoon at some point and come out as some butterfly too. And I want it for you, right? I think there can be, one of my favorite phrases is that belonging that is conditional upon behaving and believing is not unconditional belonging at all. And so I always want you to know that you can belong in so many different spaces, in so much as it serves you and feels life-giving to you. And there may come a time where you need to spread your wings and do something. And I always want you to fly. I don't want you to think that, like, you won't belong in some way and won't receive my love in the same way. You hit on something that I want to make sure the audience picks up on, is that so often we feel defensive when something comes at us, right? This whole conversation. And what I have learned through incredible colleagues and teachers and professors in harm reduction is that if we can just sit, if we can just hold still for a minute and think about the container, what we come to find out is that it is not anything we needed to get defensive about. That someone felt safe enough to bring us something is a reason for rejoicing, not for getting defensive or self-criticism. Just listen, just be, just receive. Because that's all I can want. I'm not going to know everything. Like, I'm really just a human who really doesn't have it all together and really needs your help and needs the help of others. And I hope, that we all can be so kind and so gracious as Holland was to bring me something that was making her feel a certain way, because I need that. Like, I need people in my life who will say, hey, Al, this is hurting. How can we fix this? Yeah, and I'm really thankful. And I am really thankful that Holland felt safe enough, and that's a gift. And I want us all to be those types of people who can receive without going to this self-criticism or the, like, can you believe she said this thing? Why do we do that? I don't want to build a business that way. And there's no way for us to know every different thing that's around the bend. There just isn't. We could, again, read every book, get every training. We won't be prepared because, especially the way we work, we feel the inspirational fire and we go. yay, because we're intuitive and we follow what leads us there. And there will most likely be more surges too. There just will, where if we're going to be intuitive, yay. But thank you. Seriously. I'm very, like, again, I take accountability for the way in which my unintentional words caused harm. And it, doesn't have all to do with me, right? Because it's different baggage from different things. And this is where I think also we could have trauma-informed workplaces. Wouldn't you know, right? That it is not only my words that were harming you. It was like the echoes of words from before.
Yeah, the ripples in the water.
And it's okay to be like, oh, wow, I see. Without it, right? I don't need to take on the burden of all those other voices, but I can know and acknowledge that I am in a position of power and it matters. My words matter, and fuck. Yeah, I'm deeply sorry.
Thank you. I think I needed to hear them though. I think it happened for a reason. I think you said the things for a reason, and I heard them, and I think I needed to process it.
How does it feel to have said out loud, to have connected that to the why?
I don't know yet.
Okay. The reason I asked, and just let me know off camera or whatever, whenever it like connects, is that sometimes that's very powerful for the speaker too, right? To go, it's a renegotiation of trauma in some ways. You know, like, no, I get to change my endings.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end the same way. I'm changing it. And that's very powerful, even in a position. I think often we think that power looks a certain way.
Yeah.
Right? Like Joan of Arc riding in on her horse. Sometimes it's quiet and scared and tearful.
Yeah.
That is protecting that little younger version inside of us. It's like, I won't do that again. I won't work in a space, be in a space where I don't know what the rules really are.
Yeah.
Because that was scary.
Yeah.
And I don't want that anymore. It doesn't always look like, I will not, right? Riding in with like sometimes it's quiet and tearful and scared.
Yeah.
And I will always be proud of anyone who does it scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I feel like we should write our policies and then share them with the world.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be done by next week.
No.
Y'all will see them at some point. And then I'll go back in time and connect it to this episode when we do it. I'll put a link. It'll be cool.
It will be cool.
That'll be in the future.
It's wild.
If you're watching this,
even happening now because people are telling me about episodes. And then when you guys said, and I'm thinking in my mind, I don't know when was that? When did we say that? Okay.
Yep.
Y'all are free to take a little note of which episode it was before you mention it to me, because I don't know now. It's beautiful.
She's got 2 podcasts too. I'm only on the one. Me and Trey only have the one.
Yeah. Somebody will say, and then when you were saying, and I'm trying in my brain to rack, I don't know.
When did I say that?
And who was I talking to? Any certain way you want to close out? How you feeling now?
I feel good. I'm so glad we talked about this.
Truly pulled a Trey. You're like, yeah.
I really didn't even mean to. It was like, as I got in my car on the way over here, I had been considering, like, I don't know, like feeling into all of this.
Yeah.
And then I got in the car and I was like, oh, we could talk about that today on the podcast.
I was thinking about it too, but I was also like, I'm totally going to protect her, ironically, autonomy, to not talk about it on camera. Yeah. Like, yeah. But I didn't know we'd go into all the guideline stuff too. But I'm also, right, what a beautiful thing to see that it's just all intertwined. And when we're not when we don't bring it all out, there's so many little assumptions that can fly of like, oh, well, this is what's going on. It's like, wow. Talking, it's really magical.
It is.
It's truly, truly magical.
It's crazy. What communication can do.
Way to be a leader.
Thanks.
Oh, director of operations.
Da-da-da.
Ta-da. Wow. Do you want me to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all, welcome. Thank you for being here. Whoa. You just got to witness in real time how we would have a conversation about policies and also dating guidelines and values and boundaries and stumbling into conversations that cause ouches and harm reductions. And the thing we can put in the captions is the CPR thing that Dr. Lex put together, who is now the president of ASECT. So shout out to a professor of mine. It's really good and really, really helped me learn how to do a thing like this, because I always say that like sex school changed my life. Sex school's changed my life. I would not have these tools without going to sex education school. Wow. Anyway, as always, this was how we did this. You don't have to do this way. Go make your own informed choices, do your own research, feel into what's best in your body. Share with us if, you find a different way to handle a situation like this. You're welcome to. If you were benefited from this, which always feels silly to say after like a really rough conversation, you're always welcome to request a free consult with me. And we can talk about this. You're like, I want to be able to do that. Great. You can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and let Holland know that you'd like to chat with me. You can find us on Instagram if they haven't shadow banned us into eternity. sex_ed_4_you. You can join our email list on our website, which is not going to shadow ban you. I think that's just sexedforyou.com/email. And we got Hemlock, our monthly membership program, same thing, sexedforyou.com/Hemlock. There's lots of goodness on there. Yeah. Anything else?
No, these are our opinions and our life experiences. They're ours. They're authentic. Yeah.
Very authentic.
Really authentic.
So authentic.
You won't find us being inauthentic.
No. And it's to our detriment sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I've lived the other way. Yeah. I've lived in an authentic life. Yeah. And
same.
People say to me all the time, like, you don't have to put everything on the internet. And I'm like, oh, I know. And I said, but I tried it the other way. Like I tried only sharing the glossy parts of life. And then people just thought I had a glossy life. Yeah. And so behind the scenes, I had to cover up the pain. Yeah. So I've tried it that way. It was shit. Yep. So I'm going to try it this way. Yeah. Which is really uncomfortable sometimes. But I don't want people to think that we are the sun, the moon, the stars and have it all figured out. This is real. Yeah. We run a real business.
And have real lives. And real relationships. And real conversations. And I feel that it's so much more authentic as this business is built upon consensual communication and authenticity to show the hard parts. Because who would we be if we said, you should communicate and be authentic, and then hid all of our communication and authenticity behind closed doors?
Yeah, I can't do that. No, and I hope over the scope of this podcast too that people watch us say things like, yeah, we used to, then we learned, and now we. Yeah. Because y'all, things should grow and evolve and become. And I'm not interested in something that is stagnant or this is there. Yeah. Even our dating policies, right? I hope they are generative. I hope it's version 1.0 and then 1.5. And I think we have a fucking right and responsibility to say, oh, this is this version, this draft, and then the next one. And especially because research
Yeah. Learning.
Yes. No, we are imperfect and we are learning as we go. And everybody is. Like, if we think that somebody is not, we are in the wrong.
Yes.
Everyone is. And we get into this world. I know we love to like worship and put people on pedestals, but it is not. They are just humans.
I don't want a pedestal. Don't put me on one. I don't want to be there.
No. And I think that's honestly what some of your body was warring against, right?
Probably.
Which is like, I don't want to be this poster child of yada, yada.
Yeah.
No.
Don't strive to be me. Learn from my mistakes.
I'm not interested in that either. I am interested in, protecting of others and being enriching and
1,000%.
those things. Yes. But not in a certain way.
No.
I think there can be like this umbrella of policies and guidelines where if someone's operating in that, great.
Yep.
Go forth. Have all the sex. Date all the people. Anyway, that was like the trailer. The tangent, the addendum.
The post-credits
anyway.
scene. We're a Marvel movie.
Yes, we are. It's like the juicy stuff. If you were still here, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Y'all are best. Thanks for listening to this hard podcast. Go hug your friends because I'm going to go hug
Yeah, we're going to go hug now.
Love you all. Bye.
I love you.
I love you so much. I'm so thankful for you. I'm so sorry.